Good evening and salutations, my YNR fans. Abby and Devon should have just been in their. I felt like they were in their own separate show. Um, all they did was just talk about the wedding, a lot of lovey-dovey stuff. I get it; it's a soap opera, but it was like they genuinely, nearly served no purpose in this episode. And I say nearly no purpose because there's a point where they're talking about the wedding and the attire and everything, and Phyllis walks over there. Phyllis just the minute that she gets there, they get super annoyed. And she asked about um that she saw that there was job like postings for like, tech guys and tech women and stuff like that. And there's a listen that they're looking at it like, oh, are you want your job back? Yeah, because you're not gonna get it. And so they talk a little bit. And eventually she was up leaving. Well, she does sit there and say, oh, so you plan on poaching Chancellor and whatever the other company is, Chancellor and Abbott? They don't confirm it, but they don't deny it either. And at some point, she winds up telling Billy that, yeah, they plan on poaching some people from us. And I'm like, where's your proof at, though? Like, she came in there, she was like, oh, I brought food and I brought information. I was like, okay, well, the food is good. That's cool. But the information was speculation at best. Now, Billy is, working and everything, and Chelsea comes in with some cookies. And the minute that he turns around, he looks at Chelsea, he's like, what are you doing here? Just listen, let me tell you something. You know you off to a bad start when you walk into a room to look for somebody and the first thing that they say is, what are you doing here? Like, yeah, this conversation is going to go downhill at this point. But she comes over there with some cookies and, she's all super apologetic and, she sees the hurt in his eyes and everything. She's like, listen, I'm just so sorry that, I've gotten you to a point where it's like you can't even look at me without, tearing up and stuff like that. And I'm like, and your presence doesn't help right now. Now, she does sit there and say, selfishly, eventually, I want us to sit there and kind of find our way back to each other or work our stuff out. And I'm like, boo, it's literally been less than, what, a week since he decided to break up with you? What are you doing at this point? Like, you want to sit there and say that you want to give this man his, respect and everything like that, and not really push, and not push to get back together. And in the same breath, literally less than a couple of days, you're practically pressuring him to eventually get past it. Now she came over there talking about, oh, I just want to thank you for talking to Connor and putting a lot of the blame on yourself. I really appreciate that. I think he'll appreciate it a lot more if you were in his office. So I mean, it's cool. Thanks for the cookies. But Billy Boy got some work to do, so you might want to, exit left. Now she doesn't leave until Phyllis walks in, and at that point, Phyllis is like, "I can come back," and Billy was like, "No, she was just leaving." Like, damn. Oh, don't do that again. Like seriously. Um. Now after she talks about the business stuff or whatever, she does sit there and ask, listen, if you want to sit there and just talk and vent or whatever, I'm here. But Billy's like, what I want, if we're going to be working together, is boundaries. Now, Billy, you don't really have a lot of people in your corner, okay? And I'll even sit there and say that for Jack, because I felt like it was mad disrespectful that when Jack was talking to Lily, um, he pretty much was like, if anybody should be leaving, it should be Billy, not you. And I'm like, way to go and support your brother, Jack. I'm not gonna lie, that was kind of a jackass move right there. And I know that's kind of a pun, but that's literally what that was. It was a jackass move. Like, Billy's your brother. I don't feel like you're having his back at this point. So my whole thing is like, Billy, you don't really have a lot of people to talk to. And I don't know Phyllis' history too well. I know they had a thing or whatever, but talk to somebody. Anyway, he pretty much hires her, and then he lets her take the cookies because she really wanted those cookies. Um, okay. There's something about these parents when it comes to raising these kids where it's like they don't understand boundaries, right? Now, Connor starts asking a bunch of questions um, about Sally and why they broke up, and you know, because at first Adam wants to sit there and fish for information to see what Billy said as far as the reason of their breakup. But all he did was confirm what Billy said, which was it was his fault and stuff. Um, he starts asking, did you and Sally break up and stuff like that? And although he does sit there and say yes, and his reason was because you know he was working, not that him and his mom wound up sleeping together. But it's just the type of questions that he starts asking, and like I get that on some level. He did sit there and say, "I'd rather you tell me than for me to sit there and worry and think that I'm just thinking of stuff up that's not real." But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, they're together and stuff, and I get, like, part of me is just like, you're a kid. You need to stay in a child's place. You're doing a little bit too much. And he does sit there and say, like, he does when his parents got together. He feels like, they just have this connection or whatever, and it's just really effortless and everything, while Chelsea overhears. And then he starts grilling Chelsea. I was like, yo, what is it with these kids where it's like they step over the line so many times where it's like you might want to like kind of set some sort of rules like him and Violet and from General Hospital and like James from General Hospital. I'm like, why do you just have these kids to just step over these boundaries? It's just beyond me. Now Sharon talks to Daniel, and she's very apologetic. Um, she's like I should never went off on Lucy, and there's one point where Daniel's like, we're at one point we were sitting there thinking about leaving General City, and she's like, well, maybe you should. Then Daniel gets really defensive, and Cameron Kirk or Kristen Kirk or Cameron Kirk, whatever the hell his name is. It's like, oh, you want to send him away, so this way you won't do what needs to be done. All the time, like, what needs to be done? That's what as I'm writing, like, what needs to be done. But she kind of calms down a little bit. Nick comes in there now. Nick tells the girls, Mariah and Faith, that he's gonna go over there and bring her back and everything, and for them to stay there because if he misses her, then at least they could sit there and be like, okay, we're here, just in case she goes home. Faith, for the most part, just kind of freaks out, or well, she's trying to keep from freaking out. Mariah does help her out. Nick gets down, and Nick is like, is everything alright? Is everything good? But, she seemed like she calmed down the situation enough where she's like, hey, listen, I just want to apologize, and whatever you do, just know that I'm not going to be causing your family any more trouble. And clearly, this is a level of, well, not a level, but clearly, this is a way to lower Daniel's defenses to this false sense of security. And even Nick noticed it. Because at one point, Nick was like, all right, how about, we'll go back home or whatever. Faith is, she's having a hard time. Doesn't say what it is. Very vague. You want to sit there and drive for me? No, it's cool. I don't want to leave my car here. Nick just have that like, okay, all right, fine. We'll see when you get home. Um, Esther's just there, just looking at the whole situation the entire time. Um, Nick does go back and tell them that, she was having a conversation with Daniel. She was very apologetic and everything. And Faith's like, see, that's good. Maybe we were just kind of, overthinking it. And Nick was like, I don't know, something about that apology, the sharpness in the tone, it was like she was trying to appease him or something. It was something that was just very off. Um, Now Sharon, of course, is talking to herself, and she's sitting there thinking that maybe Nick, because it's so weird to sit there and try to talk about this, and then try to talk about Cameron Kirk, but Cameron Kirk is really just her subconscious. So, long story short, she's sitting there thinking that Nick is trying to spring a trap on her to take her to whatever nut job house that they have in Genoa City. But she's pretty much just like, I got to do this. They may be leaving, so our window for opportunity is very short. So between the people in the chat that was meant to talk about this, I think somebody mentioned this. It was like she was doing an interview with someone. I don't know if it was Michael Fairman because, well, 9 times out of 10, it's always Michael Fairman. I have any problems with him. I just think that some of these stars need to kind of broaden their horizons a little bit. Just saying. But she pretty much just was like, what this is going to be, whatever the storyline is going to be, it's going to be pretty big. So for Y and R to sit there and say that, it's like, okay, you kind of piqued my interest. I feel like that's about it. Now, there might be some more stuff here and there that I missed, but that is the general gist of the episode. Now, I'm not going to be doing a live stream tonight, but I will be back tomorrow doing one, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And anything that I miss from this live stream, from this video, from this episode, as well as tomorrow's episode, we'll be sitting there talking about it all during that time. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe. Share the videos because I feel like with my Y&R videos, they actually have been starting to get some more traction. They're losing traction, but lately my other videos, they've actually been getting traction. So I think like sharing the videos actually really does help. I love talking about Y&R. So yeah. Anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna go. I'll see you in the next video.